back. This is being filmed on Tuesday, February the 16th, 2016. Our guest in this segment is Bill Negraeff.
That's correct,
and
yeah.
Bill is the manager of the BC Pain Society store on Quadra here in Victoria. And we're going to start by talking about, I think, a bit of the history of...
Yeah, the origin of BC Pain Society. It goes back to around the turn of the century, as I like to say, some 15 or 16 years ago. My nephew, Chuck Verabioff, who is the proprietor of our Vancouver, our flagship store, had a friend who was diagnosed with cancer, and Chuck assisted him in finding a path to medical marijuana. And the federal government program at that time was quite new. There was little information generally available, easily available, on how to sign on if one had a medical need. So Chuck did a bit of research, and he got our friend Rob signed up. He got him a license to possess, and he did so through a licensed producer that he knew of in Grand Forks, BC. Subsequent to that, once Rob, our friend Rob, was fully licensed, I believe the producer that Chuck had worked with was quite impressed with his efforts and the effectiveness with which he pursued and accomplished his goal. So Chuck began to work for licensed producers, again back around 2000 or 2001, assisting people who applied to them, assisting people with medical needs who approached them, assisting them in going through the federal bureaucracy, right, through the procedure. Chuck spent a few years doing that, working on behalf of the patients, but essentially employed by the producers to bring producers together with patients. And then there arose a need. Standards began to develop. I don't think they were imposed initially right away, but standards began to develop regarding potency and quality and so on. And Chuck took it one step further and bought an old ambulance and equipped it with a mobile testing lab, and used to go around primarily the Lower Mainland, testing for licensed producers. And he spent a number of years at that as well.
So he would test what they grew.
He would test what they grew.
To see that it met a standard.
To see that it met standards, yes. After doing that for a number of years, and his efforts, his activities became concentrated in the Lower Mainland. He worked around Vancouver a lot, according to our conversations, and he realized that there was still a great gap between supply and demand. Right, there was a chasm, if you will, and compassion clubs began to open up, and they would go to suppliers and obtain product, medication to supply to their members, their patients. And at that point, he made a decision to open a dispensary. And I believe it was on Kingsway, BC Pain Society, nonprofit organization. And that was some 3 years ago. And in the 3 years since then, they've moved locations. They've opened up a second location. They have one at 2902 Commercial and one at Broadway and Renfrew in Vancouver. They use the same vending machine method that we do here in Victoria. But when they when that store began to increase its volume, Chuck approached me, his uncle, to assist him in creating a secure membership database, because that's my background. And I was not really an advocate. I wasn't really aware of much about the medical marijuana situation.
Oh, really?
No, I wasn't. So about a year and a half ago, I began to assist him in developing a secure, patient customer member database. And in traveling over to Vancouver and seeing what was going on there, I soon, very quickly, became convinced of the legitimacy of medical marijuana, right, and the medicinal benefits of it. So after I was involved with Chuck in that capacity for some 6 months, about a year ago, he suggested that we open an operation here in Victoria, and we found a location and consulted with City Hall. Of course, at that time, they were unable to license us, but they didn't discourage us. They just said that we were on our own, and it was a gray area. We consulted with the police, and they had pretty much the same message that there were no standards, no regulations in place, and that we couldn't be licensed. But they encouraged us to apply for a business license. We have an application pending now, and we've been open since April 10th. And we've increased our local membership to, we're just 18 members short of 1,000 here in Victoria in the first year. And that's up to the minute. Story of BC Pain Society in Victoria.
Okay. So you've got almost 1,000 members,
Mm-hmm.
and why do these members come to the BC Pain Society?
Because they have issues with pain. I have learned, and as I say, I'm kind of a latecomer to the cause. I've learned that marijuana or cannabis is a very effective treatment for neuropathic pain, and that's pain associated with arthritis, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, and a number of other ailments. Somebody mentioned earlier, somebody asked about prescriptions. We are not authorized to honor a doctor's prescription, even if they directly prescribe cannabis, because we're not pharmacies. What we do is we certainly, if a doctor has prescribed it or recommended it, we will provide a membership based on that. Okay. We will provide a membership based on proof of diagnosis of conditions that are commonly and reasonably believed to be treatable with cannabis, in whatever form. And we will also provide an alternative to narcotic or opioid pain relief. So if somebody comes in with an active prescription for OxyContin, for instance, we will sign them up as a member, because we feel we feel that cannabis is a more humane and I think much safer alternative to opioid or narcotic pain relief.
So, I mean, personally, I think all of these shops and organizations do a lot of good work for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's not only, I believe it's not only pain, which cannabis reportedly does an excellent job of in many cases, but other illnesses as well.
Yes, there are anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, I think, is well treated with certain strains of cannabis. Indica strain, or the indica type, is very effective with in most cases, generalized anxiety disorder. We do, at BC Pain Society, I know that some of the other clubs do provide membership based on depression or even psychosis, but I draw the line there because I feel that depression, and I'm certainly not a diagnostician, have no medical qualifications at all, but and for that reason, we do not provide cannabis based on proof of diagnosis of depression or bipolar disorder or psychosis.
Bill, we've only got a minute left.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about where you think the law of the land should go on this.
Well, I think that's a two-pronged issue.
30 seconds each.
30 seconds each. Okay. I believe that it's right that the federal government moved to legalize it for recreational use, but I think that the distribution and regulation and such is so complex that I would be disappointed if they came up with something any sooner than 6 to 8 months from now, because I would question how well thought out it was. I think in the medical area, I'm really looking forward to the imposition or implementation of a regulatory structure that the city of Victoria is planning. We're
out of time. We're going to have to leave it at that. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah. Next time.
Was
We'll
that 12 minutes?
That was 12 minutes, believe it or not.
Yep.
Folks, thank you very much. Another very important issue. Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
And thank you for watching this week's Citizens Forum.